Hello my friends, I hope that you're all doing very well. So in today's video, I wanted to share with you a really cool research study that just came out earlier this month about how vagus nerve stimulation can improve language outcomes. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you guys 3 things that you can do to stimulate your vagus nerve and hence give you an edge in the language learning process. So the vagus nerve is a fascinating nerve. This is a fascinating subject in general. I've actually read 4 books about the vagus nerve and polyvagal theory in the last couple of years. And some of the really incredible applications of vagus nerve stimulation have to do with seizures. So you can actually implant a very small device into someone's body if they suffer from seizures, and then you can stimulate the vagus nerve using this implanted device to actually stop the seizures from happening, which is incredible. So that's a really popular and incredible application, but equally incredible is the fact that in this research study, they showed that stimulating the vagus nerve actually leads to increased auditory perceptual skills. So more specifically, in this study, the researchers recruited 36 English-speaking volunteers, and instead of implanting a device into their body, which is obviously pretty invasive, they actually just inserted like a totally non-invasive little earbud into their ear, and it was able to stimulate their vagus nerve. And this was at a threshold that the participants couldn't even detect. So whether you were in the group receiving the stimulation or not, you didn't even know. So the volunteers were trying to perceive sounds in Mandarin, which is a tonal language, and none of them knew any Mandarin at all. So what the study showed was that those in the experimental group, so those who had the earbud that was actually sending signals to their vagus nerve, on average, they performed 13% better, so more accurately, than the other group, and that was a statistical difference. What's also really cool is that they progressed twice as quickly, and they carried over some of this learning to untrained words, and they had a better retention between the blocks. So 4 incredible outcomes, I would say, simply from stimulating the vagus nerve. So obviously this is just the tip of the research iceberg because a lot of other studies have to be done to validate and to double check and to make sure that this is really a true effect. But why not be part of this initial group that jumps on this vagus nerve bandwagon and see if you can't get an edge in your language learning journey? So while I obviously don't have this device to send you that you can put in your ear that will stimulate your vagus nerve, there are many things that you can do right now after you finish watching this video to stimulate your vagus nerve. And while obviously these are just things that stimulate the vagus nerve and there hasn't been specific research showing that specific, experiment linking to increased perceptual abilities, we can use theory and make an educated guess that this stuff should theoretically be helpful. So I wanted to share with you guys my top 3 favorite ideas for vagus nerve stimulation, and these are all ideas that I've gotten from the books that I've read and from other articles that I've read about the subject. So the first thing that you can do to stimulate your vagus nerve is to use cold exposure. So it can be something as small as, dunking your face into some ice water, but the really good thing to do is to actually turn your shower to cold at the very end for about 10 seconds, I've read. So this goes without saying that if you have any medical contraindications to doing something like this, then don't do it. But if you're a healthy individual and you can tolerate 10 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower, that will stimulate your vagus nerve. The second way that you can stimulate your vagus nerve is by engaging in diaphragmatic breathing. So the vagus nerve has lots of connections throughout the whole body, and it very much enters into that area as well. So engaging in diaphragmatic breathing, so slow, deep, calm breathing, also engages your vagus nerve. And the third way to engage your vagus nerve is simply by humming or chanting. So the reason that this works is because one of the branches of the vagus nerve actually ends up in your larynx. And so by humming or chanting, again, you're stimulating this nerve. If this is a topic that interests you, you can do a lot more reading about other ways that you can stimulate your vagus nerve. And if you have any other favorite suggestions, then I would love to read about them in the comments below. So that's it for today's video, you guys. Let me know what you thought of this kind of research. And I'd also be really curious to know if you end up trying any of these techniques to stimulate your vagus nerve. As always, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.